Hi, so basically I'm going to talk about the book that I read, and it's called The World is Flat by Thomas L. Friedman. Basically the book tells a theory about the world being flat, meaning that it behaves like a flat plane where people from different countries, no matter culture, language, nationality, social standard, can compete at the same level due to globalization. So the author comes to this conclusion with a trip to Bangalore, India, where he sees multinational companies affecting said country without the need of those companies actually being in the country. But he gives more emphasis as how the world came to be flat. And this goes by 10 forces. The first force being the fall of the Berlin Wall. The fall of the Berlin Wall meant that the world was no longer divided by capitalism and socialism. With the fall of the Berlin Wall, the world could finally think of itself as one. And for example, India, with the fall of the Berlin Wall, began to adapt capitalistic views, and that's how it finally started to become the strong force of economic power that it is today. For the second one, we have the birth of Netscape, which in translation is the birth of the first web browser, like Internet Explorer. So this caused for many people to want to be connected to something. This drove many people to search for technology, to buy a computer, to find an individuality by talking to other people that were like themselves. But for the third phase, we have the workflow phase. This is connected to the second one because more people had internet, more people had computers. They wanted to be able to communicate through those computers with the same language. So that's basically they asked for software that could speak to Microsoft and also speak to a textile industry and speak to many other companies that spoke different languages. For the fourth one, we have what is called open sourcing. Open sourcing was basically a collaboration of people outside of the industry that create free software and share it with the world. And as a person, if you grab said free software, it is your responsibility, because you are able to use it to make it better and share it with the world again. This caused for the world to connect itself more by creating a community and giving more power to individuals against big companies like Microsoft. For the fifth force, we have what is called outsourcing. Outsourcing is when a company moves its factory to another country that gives less cost for cheap labor. For example, if you move a microchip company to India because it is cheaper to pay the Indians to do said work, to elaborate the chips than do it in the United States. And then we have the supply chain. The supply chain is basically how a company works, how it makes sure that its processes are all efficient, that are optimized, and they connect everything in a company. They make it more efficient. The best example I can give you is Walmart. Walmart was born in Arkansas. Arkansas has no natural resources, and so therefore Walmart had to look at how can I beat somebody from, I don't know, California that has oranges and wines. How can I make them buy my product? So he got what is called the coefficient of flatness. The coefficient of flatness is basically a country can go, the flatter the country is, it means it has less resources. It cannot just use its natural resources to make money. It has to look for entrepreneurship, innovation, and ways to make money because it doesn't have any other choice. The seventh force is called insourcing. Insourcing is basically when you have a third company that examines a company through its how it works, how it produces, how it manages, so that the output can be better. Like it connects two companies. For example, UPS does this. UPS not only just delivers products, it also looks at your whole supply chain and tries to make it as efficient as possible. The ninth force we have is called informing. Informing is basically, and as an individual, you are the editor of the information you want to have. You search for it, you create it, you share it, and the best way to put this is Google. With Google, you can customize your own search, you can look for what you want, you can look for other groups to look for what you want. And for the last course, we have what they call the steroids. The steroids are new technologies, for example, wireless, that help the other forces like outsourcing, open sourcing, offshoring, blah, 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 to make it better, to make it bigger, to make the world flat, if you will. So after these 10 forces, the author talks about a triple convergence, which basically will bring the whole world together. The triple convergence basically takes all the 10 forces and applies into one. Unfortunately, there are certain events in the world that have not made all people aware that the world is changing, such as 9/11, the Iraq and Afghanistan invasions, Enron, and the burst of the dot-com bubble. So then the book divides into how America deals with the flat world and how other developing countries deal with the flat world. To summarize them, basically, the better your country adapts, creates special workers, creates specialized workers, creates workers that are able to adapt easily to the flat world, the better the country will be. You need a country that is disciplined. You need a country that has ambition. You need a country that has education in math and science and engineering. That is what will drive the world to have a better innovation system and adapt better to a flat world. Finally, Friedman states that it's at this point in globalization, it is of extreme importance to take into consideration imagination. Two events that marked the flat world were 9/11 and, ironically, 11/9, which was the fall of the Berlin Wall. Those two events were created by positive imagination and destructive imagination. It is the duty of each country to form ways to create more creative imagination instead of destructive ones. And that's basically it.